Okay, next session will be taken up by Shruti from Samagra. She will walk you through Git, the hands-on experience with the Git, and the basic command that you will be using on the GitHub. Over to you, Shruti.
Hey, hi everyone. First and foremost thing is I wanted the session to be very interactive. So you can just raise your hands, you can just react to the emoji, or you can just unmute yourself, you can just post your queries on the chat section. And I will highly encourage, if possible, for all of you to switch on your videos. Cool. So first of all, very heartiest congratulations to all of you for being a part of C4GT cohort 2023. I've seen some of your proposals. I've seen you have put in a lot of hard work and efforts for that. So really kudos to you for that. So sab log, just first of all, give an applause for yourself. Just react applause on the reactions. I get to know कि कौन बस लगाकर छोड़ गया है bootcamp. Cool. ठीक है. So let me just start with a quick brief intro about myself. Myself, Shruti Agarwal. I have just recently, this June only, I've completed my graduation in BTech Computer Science. I have been contributing to the open source from past 3 or 4 years, and I have been aware about the GovTech space when I have joined the Samagra back in September 2021. I have been exposed to the DPG's world, what digital public goods are, what GovTech space, and I've started contributing to that space back 2 years. Cool. Let me just present my screen. Is my screen visible?
Yeah,
you can
sure.
just, cool, thanks. So we just wanted to cover first basics about open source, about FOSS, about VCS, Git, GitHub. And I want the session to be interactive. So we have some goodies also. तो जो जितना interactive रहेगा तो उसको उतना goodies मिलेंगे. Venkatesh and Abhishek will just transfer parcel कर देंगे वो goodies. Cool. So let's start with open source. So what is open source? You can just open your mic. जो भी आपका understanding है आप open source से क्या समझते हो? What is open source?
Code base is open to all people, and they can change it in a way that can help them or any other particular person. Like it's not.
Cool, great. I'm not seeing who is speaking, so you can just start with your first name and then you can just give the answer. Cool. Whoever just give the answer is great. Anyone else?
Hey, this is Akshat. So open source, I think is just the company or whatever the product is opening their code base in the entire repository for everyone to see and contribute, and maybe even adapt and fork it and build upon it themselves.
Great, Akshat. Yeah. Any other volunteers?
I will take the lead. So I'm Nigra. As per me, open source is basically a code base which is lying all freely for everyone to open and contribute so that anyone can use it for oneself or can implement more changes for the betterment of the organization.
Great. So all of your answers are correct. So open source is basically the source code, as the name suggests, open source, the source code which is open. What is source code? Source code is the technical blueprint of the feature that you have implemented, right? So open as in free, open as in access, open as in not closed. And all are these permission, all these are liberty depends on the license of the open source code repository, right? So there are the various licenses in the repository such as Apache, MIT, right, GNU. So based on the license, we decided how much freedom of access we have to use that code. Cool. Now, why open source is important, right? So just anyone can just tell me why open source is important, or maybe why you have just applied to the Code for GovTech program, because it is also an open source program.
Hi, my name is Premsai Verma. So I would say open source helps us to keep up to date, because up to date of the code base, I would say, where here the contributors from all over the world could contribute by adding new features and they're resolving the bugs, and also like it completely helps like a contributor to improve their problem solving skills and thinking, like the way of thinking to contribute to and yeah. Thank you.
Great. Yeah. Anyone else was also speaking?
Yes, hi Shruti, I am Deepali Lodhi. So I think it is a great way to express your ideas, or if you know something, or if you want to contribute and you are not part of the organization, then it will be very helpful. Like it would be great that we can put our info or information or our expertise or our skills. Yes, we can share our ideas, that what we are thinking or what we can do extra in that, so we can do with that.
Great, Dipali. Yeah. Any other source of motivation why we should contribute to the open source, or any other reasons why open source is important?
Hey, this is
Yeah,
Akshat.
hi.
So I think it helps bring innovation into the picture. Like Firefox, for example, a lot of features that it has had over the past few years has been mainly because of the open source community. People have said that they want this feature, and they've gone and implemented it in their open source repo, and it has actually then finally come to the final product of Firefox.
Yeah. Great.
Yeah, hello.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm Prateek. So, apart from innovation and all, I think it's the fastest way to become visible to an organization. And yeah, to see our results, our work, the results of our work.
Yeah. Great, Prateek. So all of your reasons are completely valid why open source is important, why we should contribute to the open source. Some of the reasons I have also collated here why open source is important. The A is networking, right? See, when we are contributing to the open source projects, when we are contributing to any open source program, say Code for GovTech only, so you have been collaborated with tons of people, right? You have been collaborated with the experienced mentors, the org team people. You have 100 of colleagues together. You can collaborate with them, right? So you have a good network. You get to know different people. You get to know the different tech stack. You get to know their different expertise, and you get to learn a lot of new things out of them. So the A is the networking. Second is real world projects. Generally what happen in college, when we just make the projects, we don't care about benchmarking, we don't care about how it will use when it is used by the millions of people or thousands of people. We don't much care, right? So it actually helps us building the real world projects. How the real world projects work. For example, if I'm taking any front end project, so front end developer will make a project maybe taking few dimensions, few width and height of the screens, but when it is used by the thousands of people, the millions of people, they are using on the different browsers, they are using on the different environment, they are using on the different sizes. Maybe they're using on the iPhone 5, maybe they're using on the Oppo phones, maybe they are using on the iPhone 12. So there are chances that it can distort, right? So you get a greater glimpse when you work on the real world scalable projects. Same as the backend. We don't care about the latency. We don't care about the benchmarking, how the server will handle the load when too many users will hit the request at the same time. So real world projects. So with the open source, it's a good way to contribute to the real world projects, right? It enhances resume. I have seen a lot of people, a very good people in the company. I've seen they have just have a link of PRs, pull request in their resume, and in some of the big companies, interviews also, you can just discuss your pull request where the pull request for which you are more proud of. It can help you grab the jobs internship, and it can also provide you the hands-on experience with the code base. Ki if let's say आपने Android सीखा है but you don't know how to implement it, तो you get to know, अगर आप किसी open source code base पे जाके contribute करते हो तो you get to know a lot of things, क्योंकि सिर्फ उसमें Kotlin या Java use नहीं हो रहा होगा, उसमें और भी other चीजें use हो रही होंगी, right? So these are the things which I think open source is important. Now we quickly see how open source works, because since you have answered questions and we almost get how open source works. This is a developer. Basically, this is the author or the writer of the code who is having the source code, a compiled program. And there are the other developers, users or developers who can just make the issues, create the bugs, or maybe just raise the issue tickets regarding the enhancement, regarding the feature request, regarding the bug if they face any in the application. They can just improve the source code, and this compiled program, the source code will get vastly improved, right? Now, what is FOSS? So if you have heard of word FOSS, free and open source software, can anyone tell me what is FOSS? Anyone, like what is FOSS, what you are understanding? मतलब अगर नहीं भी पता है तो सिर्फ टर्म से क्या समझ रहे हो? Because we know what is open source, we know what is software, we know what is free, right? तो FOSS से कोई क्या समझता है? Venkatesh, I cannot see if anyone is raising hand or maybe some answer.
Hi, this is Shashwat.
Yeah, hi.
So a software which is free, as in which has use case which is not commercial, you can use it for free and is developed using open source contributions.
Cool. Yeah, great. So basically, free, as he also rightly said, free here is not in a commercial free. So here, free in use, free in copy, free in distribution, free in studying it, free in making any manipulation on changing it. That is FOSS, right? We have learned about OSS, that is open source. We have learned about FOSS, that is free open source software. तो दोनों में difference क्या है? दोनों similar से ही तो लगे. What is the difference between FOSS and OSS? Anyone wants to tell this? What is FOSS and OSS? Difference between it?
Generally, OSS software doesn't really have to be free. Like a lot of Red Hat softwares are not actually free, but it is maintained open source and open sourcely. But a software like let's say a free software like Linux, Linux is totally free, and it even promotes to like modify the original Linux code and add your own I don't know, imagination, features, etc. to it. And that's why we have n number of distributions of Linux.
Yeah, एकदम appropriate answer. What was your name?
Achintya.
Yeah, great Achintya. तो बिल्कुल ठीक समझाया उसने. OSS सारे open source softwares हैं. It is not necessarily they are free to use, and the very correct example is Red Hat. Red Hat ka code is open source, but when you wanted to access the code, you just need a subscription to use it, right? You cannot just make the manipulations that I've also mentioned in the starting. Then there are a lot of licenses which is depend on the open source repository, ki how much access you are having. Whereas FOSS is you are free in access. You are having a freedom of access to use it. Example Linux, which he has presented. If you have seen in Oppo there is the Colors OS. In Android they are in different mobile phones they are having a different kind of a OS on which they are kind of a build on the top of the same Linux development or the Android development. So FOSS is free to use, free to study, free to manipulate, free to distribute. Whereas all the open source projects are not free to use and free to distribute, right? Now, popular FOSS software. So there's one activity for all of you. You guys can just raise your hands. So abhi I'll just present ki सारे icons of FOSS softwares. जो सबसे ज़्यादा icons के name guess कर लेगा. Cool. Great. Yes. You can just raise your hands quickly. इनमें से कितने के नाम पता है? ये सारे FOSS free open source softwares हैं. I can see the hand of Harshit. There are too many hands. Can start with Harshit Gupta.
Hello.
Yeah.
So actually I know 7-zip and VS Code, and this is a Open Office and Bitimage, VLC, Android, Firefox, and that is it is VMware machine, but I don't remember exactly that name, and that is Blender. I remember these names.
Cool. Monishka.
It's VS Code, then Android, Firefox, Blender, and 7Z.
Cool. Shivam Sahu. Okay, Akshat Upadhyay.
So other than the ones mentioned, that is Open Office, the blue icon, and that is Calibri book management. The name is written there anyway, and
Yeah.
that is 7Z is GIMP.
Okay. ठीक है, अभी ये बच रहा है, ये बच रहा है, ये बच रहा है, ये बच रहा है. Anyone else?
That box one with the gross image mount is GIMP, I guess, GIMP. And then this is VLC, and that is Blender. And then 7-zip, Android, VS Code, Mozilla Firefox. Then in that ink space is there, I guess. And I don't know the above.
Okay. Mohammed Zaid.
VS Code, Android, VLC, Media Player, Firefox, and that one is for Linux machine, and there is 7Z. That's it.
Yeah. So most of you have got the software's name. So this is Bitwarden, this is 7-zip, this is VS Code, this is GIMP, this is OpenOffice, Android, VLC, Firefox, Octave, Blender, and Calibre. And this is, yeah, Inkscape. Cool. Great. So now how to get started with the open source. So we'll deep dive into the open source tools. So now can anyone tell me what version control system is and what their understanding basis on what they understood from the version control system?
Version control systems basically help to track the changes that we have made in the entire process of development, and helps to backtrack if you end up in a wrong development mode.
Yeah. Yeah.
And help different contributors to work on the same project.
Yeah, it was Zeb, right? Cool. Okay, so what he told was right. The version control system is basically a software tool that helps you manage changes to your files. It's basically like a time machine which creates and which manages the snapshots of your code bases at a different point of a time, where the multiple contributors can contribute, can make the changes, can can merge their changes into the same branch. That is what version control system is. तो अगर Git नहीं होता या फिर we don't have the version control system, how we gonna manage it? We just एक Richard ने अपनी एक original code base है, उसमें different लोगों ने अपनी अपनी copies बना ली है. Richard has made their different copy of the code base. Eric has made their different copy of the code base. So this is kind of a system which is very cumbersome. Same as Google Doc, maybe we have this version control system where we can just check on the file system ki where and what version at what time at what date I have just manipulated the code. So this is the version control system. Now most of the people think ki Git or GitHub same hota hai, but it actually kind of a different things. Can anyone tell me what is the difference between Git or GitHub?
Basically, so yeah, Git is a software. So GitHub is a platform which offers the services that is given by Git. So we have another we have other tools like GitLab, Bitbucket. So yeah, these are the tools like which will be focusing on version control, and here they will be offering the services. Yeah.
What was your name?
My name is Prem Varma.
Oh yeah, great. Anyone else was also speaking?
Yeah, basically like the same thing. Git is a software, and GitHub is a platform that allows the use of the software.
Cool. What is your name?
Jahnav.
Okay.
Hello, Vinayak this side. I want to add something. Git installed locally on system and GitHub hosted on web.
Great. सारे differences ठीक है. So basically Git is a version control system where GitHub is a cloud-based service which maintain the images and containers of your files which are on your local, right? So as someone has said कि Git local पे होता है, GitHub is on cloud-based service where you can just put a URL github.com, you can just access it. GitHub is just like a Instagram for the developers where you can just push your code base, where you can just access it, where you can just create the issues, pull requests, tags, there's tons of things. Okay. So this is the difference between Git and GitHub. Now the basic Git commands. right? So I've been assuming ki you all have been familiar with how to. I have also linked the cheat sheet here. You can just check it out. इसमें सारे steps वगैरह दे रखे हैं कि how to set up, how to configure it, how to instantiate, how to clone the repository, how to check the status. If anyone has any doubt in this, because you are going to do for the next 2 months this only, you have to just make the changes. If anyone having any doubts, even in the basic commands, you can just ping me maybe in direct message if you are feeling little shy, or you can just raise your hands. I can just clear कि बेसिक क्लोन कैसे करते हैं, सेटअप कैसे करते हैं रिपोजिटरी, ऐड कैसे करते हैं कमिट्स, पुश कैसे करते हैं कोड बेस.
Yeah, sure.
I've seen the chat just now. You guys have written a lot of answers. Thanks for that. So if anyone wanted me to cover all these basic commands as well, does anyone know what फटाफट करते हैं, what git init do? Git init क्या करता है?
Initialize a Git repository.
Initialize a Git repository.
इंस्टैंशिएट कर देता है गिट रिपोजिटरी को. तो बेसिकली कोई अगर मैंने अपने फोल्डर बना रखा है अपने पीसी पे, अपने सिस्टम लोकल मशीन पे, तो अगर मैं गिट इनिट करूंगी तो उसका गिट का एक खाली इनिशियलाइज रिपोजिटरी ऐड हो जाएगा. गिट क्लोन हम क्यों यूज करते हैं?
Existing repository को locally clone करने के लिए, अपने डिवाइस
लोकली डाउनलोड करने के लिए कोड को.
यप. तो रिमोट पे गिटहब पे कोई कोड है, अगर हमें लोकली सेट करना है तो गिट क्लोन द यूआरएल ऑफ दैट कोड बेस. अगर जैसे मुझे हाँ, अगर मुझे ये कोड बेस करना है अपने लोकल पे सेटअप, तो व्हाट आई हैव टू डू, आई हैव टू जस्ट ऐड द यूआरएल ऑफ दिस फ्रॉम द https, फ्रॉम द ssh, एनीथिंग व्हिच यू हैव सेट अप ऑफ. ठीक है. तो दिस इज व्हाट वी यूज्ड टू डू फॉर द cloning. Now, what we have to do for the git status?
To get that whatever files we have modified or we made changes.
Yep. Then git add. What git add will do?
So it will
add the files to staging area.
change files into the
Add
staging
files to
area.
the staging area.
Staging area, so that you can push it into the remote repository.
ठीक है. तो गिट ऐड क्या है? बेसिकली फाइल्स जो हमने अपने चेंजेस किए हैं सिस्टम पे, वो उसको ऐड करने के लिए. तो बेसिकली अगर मैं यहाँ पे अपने सिस्टम पे चेंजेस करूंगी कोई कोड के, तो इट डजंट मीन ये वाले चेंजेस डायरेक्टली गिटहब पे भी रिफ्लेक्ट कर जाएंगे, राइट? तो आई हैव टू मेक द चेंजेस, आई हैव टू एड देम. गिट ऐड डॉट से सारी फाइल्स ऐड हो जाती हैं, और गिट ऐड फाइल का स्पेसिफिक पाथ से वो स्पेसिफिक फाइल ऐड होती है. कूल. गिट रीसेट से क्या होता है?
मतलब जो भी चेंजेस हमने स्टेज किए थे उसे वापस से वैसे ही कर देने के लिए, दैट इज गिट रीसेट.
यस. तो गिट ऐड करा हमने फाइल, अगर धोखे से कुछ फाइल ऐड हो गया है उसको दोबारा से रीसेट करना है, वापस से नॉर्मल वर्किंग डायरेक्टरी लाना है, तो वील डू जस्ट गिट रीसेट. व्हाट डज गिट डिफ शो?
दैट चेंजेस वी हैव मेड इन द फाइल, जो हमने कोड में मॉडिफाई किया है, दैट इज शोन बाय गिट डिफरेंस.
एग्जैक्टली. तो गिट डिफरेंस अगर मैं दिखाऊं तो बेसिकली गिट डिफरेंस आपको देगा कि आपने क्या क्या चेंजेस करे हैं. अगर इस फाइल में मैंने कुछ चेंजेस करे हैं, कुछ ऐड किया है, कुछ सब्ट्रैक्ट किया है, लेट्स से तो मैं इस फाइल में अगर कोई चेंज करूंगी, लेट्स से, ठीक है, तो मेरे गिट चेंजेस, गिट डिफरेंस क्या दिखाएगा कि जो मैंने जो चेंजेस ऐड किए हैं, बेसिकली मैंने अभी इसमें ये टेस्ट नाम की चीज ऐड करी है, बट नॉर्मली में global.css में वो चीज नहीं थी. तो दिस इज इन अ ग्रीन कलर विच इज शोइंग कि मैंने टेस्ट ये वाला फील्ड्स, ये वाली टेक्स्ट ऐड किया है, राइट? तो गिट डिफरेंस बेसिकली डिफरेंस दिखाता है द फाइल्स जो पहले कमिट हो चुकी हैं, जो फाइल्स अभी आपने चेंज की. गिट कमिट इज बेसिकली यू जस्ट ऐड कोड ये आपने स्टेज किया है. हाँ, एनीवन वाज सेइंग समथिंग? या तो कमिट बेसिकली क्या करता है, यू जस्ट कमिट योर कोड, यू जस्ट एड अ प्रॉपर रेलेवेंट मैसेज टू इट. M is a message flag with which you can write a descriptive message about whatever code changes you have made, right? We'll just discuss about the commit messages sanity later in the presentation. Cool. So you can just check it. There are a plethora of videos, GitHub tutorials on the YouTube. You can just check that out. So it is simple. If you feel any doubt, you can just post it on Discord. You can just tag me, or I can just help you out with. Okay. Now we'll just jump to the branching techniques. Okay. What standard branching techniques are? What branching techniques we use at Samagra? Cool. What is a Git branch? Can anyone tell me Git branch क्या होती है?
It is basically a copy of the code that any contributor make for himself to make the changes. We will not directly contribute to the main branch.
Yes. Anyone else?
So there are several branches, like there would be a branch in which I am working on, there would be a branch which is currently deployed on somewhere, and there would be another branch. So हम directly उन branch में नहीं करें अपना code और deployed जिस जो working में है. So that's why there are Git branch concept जिसमें हम अपना code अपनी branch में डालें और वहाँ पे देख सकें और changes कर सकें. After the confirmation.
Yes, both of you are correct. तो Git branch क्या होती है? Git branch is a separate snapshot version होता है of our main repository of our master branch. It allows us to work on a different part of a project. See, if 10 people are working on the same project, how they can just make the changes on the same repository, it will create a lot of merge conflicts, right? So branch will allow us to work on the different several parts of a project without impacting the main branch, which is on maybe the production, which is maybe the live version, which is used by the users. So when the work is complete, a branch is merged to the main project and we can switch between the branches and the main project, right? So this is a Git branch. So this is just the infographic showing Git branch. These circles are showing the different commits. Let's say this is your work, which is having 3 commits, and this is someone else's work, which is having 1 commit, and all of the commits are later merged by the to the Git main branch. Now, just the basic command, how to check the active branch, that is Git branch, say we can just check it. I guess you can see my terminal, right? Hello. If
Yes,
just anyone, huh?
Yes, we can see your terminal.
Cool. So Git branch, say, let's say I've been in the project passbook frontend, so I can just see which branch is in my system. And the green one is showing by the active branch, which is the active branch, right? If I want to just check out to the new branch, I can just add it git checkout -b and the branch name. Let's say I've been adding new branch right now, right? So just creating a new branch, renaming it to the master branch. If I just wanted to delete the branch, so I can just delete it with the -d flag. This is the deleting the branch. Cool. Now, Git branching strategy. When we are clear with what Git branch is, how to create a new branch, and what is the use of Git branch, and why the Git branch is important. Now it's important to understand the Git branching strategy, right? So branching strategy is basically the software developer teams use, and it is different for the different companies. Maybe your project mentor will tell you the different strategy, or maybe the project on which you're contributing is having a different Git branching strategy, but I'm telling you the standard, what is the Git branching strategy. It is basically a set of rules that developers can follow to stipulate how they wanted to have a shared code base, right? It is necessary to keep the repositories in a sync, in synchronization, consistency, because अगर बहुत ज़्यादा हम directly merge कर देंगे multiple developers के code main branch में, तो it will have a lot of conflicts, and फिर वो हम proper quality assurance भी नहीं कर पाएंगे, ठीक है? So this is the strategy. This is a diagram which I have been copied here. This is the strategy which we used at Samagra. So this is basically, we have one master or main branch, we have a development branch, and we have the other features branch. Okay, feature branches, maybe you are working on maybe notification feature, or maybe you are working on a different page, or maybe you are working on the offline feature. So you can just create the feature branch out of the development branch. A QA is quality assurance. Someone will test your feature branch, and if it finds any bug, again you have to fix that bug in the feature branch. Then feature branch will merge to the development branch, and feature branch should merge the development branch into their code base to take the latest update of the code base, right? This is after QA. And what is hotfix? Hotfix are the bugs जो production पे आ जाते हैं, which are very P0 bugs जो होते हैं, priority जिनकी 0 होती है, production पे कोई चीज फट रही है, and production पे कोई चीज डिस्टॉर्ट हो रही है, तो if we wanted to make the release, we wanted to make the hot fix, तो वो हम डायरेक्टली मास्टर में करते हैं, फिर हम मास्टर से डेवलपमेंट को अपडेट करते हैं, डेवलपमेंट को हम फिर डेवलपमेंट से फिर हम फीचर ब्रांचेस को अपडेट करते हैं. दिस इज द कंप्लीट साइकिल वी फॉलो. The master or main branch, which is a production branch, all the feature branches merge into a development branch, and the development branches merge into the master branch. Cool. Any issues or any problem in this?
Could you repeat this once again?
Okay, let me just repeat it. See, this is a master or main branch. Cool. This is the development branch, which we take from the master branch, and these are the feature branches. Feature branches, like if you wanted to work on the notification feature, right? And maybe I wanted to work on fixing the button, or maybe someone wanted to work on fixing the UI or the color palette of the UI, right? So you can just create the feature branches. You can just raise the pull request to development branch after significant change, maybe after 2 weeks or maybe after a week. From development branch, we can raise the branch to a master, pull request to the master. Or maybe what I can show is, see, this is the main branch. This is the development branch. Cool. And these are the feature branches. All of you can see my screen clearly, right?
Yes, Shruti.
Yes.
Cool. तो एक मेन ब्रांच होती है मास्टर ब्रांच, जिसपे आप लोग अपना कोड पुश करते हैं. जनरली हम कॉलेज प्रोजेक्ट्स बनाते हैं, वी डायरेक्टली जस्ट पुश द कोड बेस ऑन द मेन और द मास्टर ब्रांच, बट आइडली वी शुड नॉट. जस्ट एक बेसिक सेटअप हो गया. एक डेवलपमेंट ब्रांच होती है जिसपे सारा डेवलपमेंट, जितना भी जो भी फीचर ब्रांचेस हैं, फीट मतलब फीचर, फीट लाइसेंस ब्राउजर, किसी को कुछ फीचर करना होगा तो उसने वो ब्रांच बनाई, या स्नैक बार पे काम करना होगा तो उसने वो ब्रांच बनाई, एंड उसने वो पुल रिक्वेस्ट रेज कर दी डेवलपमेंट ब्रांच पे. Cool. So if someone raised the pull request, let's say this is the close pull request, which is open to the feature branch, to the development branch. This pull request is directly open to the main. So maybe they have been changing the system, but generally the pull request, the feature pull request is open directly to the development branch, and development branch will raise the pull request to the main branch. Cool. Does that, if you can
Yes.
confirm, maybe I can just open my pull request. So yeah, this is the my pull request. I have made the branch fix move copy. I have to make some changes into the pull request. I have made this pull request. I have made it to the development branch. Now later what will happen is development branch code will push to the main branch. This is how we follow. This is known as the trunk based strategy, where trunk is the main branch of the master branch, where we make the frequent updates, frequent feature update, and we push to the trunk or the main master branch. Okay. So these are the branches. Master branch is a long living branch used for the releases. This is the production code base, and code is merged into the branch when it's ready for the release. Development branch, it is also a long living branch. We are used to merge the stable code base for the different features. This branch will have the multiple features which need to be released, right? And the feature branches are the short-lived branches, which a QA or the testing team will test the branches, your code, and then after their validation, after their evaluation, you can just push your code to the development branch. Okay. Now, naming convention to the branches. We have understand कि branches बनाना important है. Strategy क्या होती है, किस तरीके से branches बना सकते हैं, but what should be the naming convention of the branches? I've seen a lot of people, they have just made the branch with their name. That is not a right way. You can follow this method, or you can maybe follow the method which your mentor suggested, or the method or the contributed guidelines which they are following in their project. So this is the method for the creating a new branch. That is for the feature, you can add a feature / GitHub ticket number, or maybe a feature name, right? For a spike, when you are working on the POC is the proof of concept. When you're experimenting something, or when you are trying something, you can just make it with a spike. When you are maybe fixing the bug, you can make you can start it with the prefix fix. And hotfix, I've already told you. Hotfix is what? Hotfix is when there are bugs which are the P0 priority, which are made on the production, and you have to fix that, right? The production bugs, you can just make the hotfix / GitHub ticket / hotfix name. This is the convention which you can use. I have also shown you the examples here of the branches: the main branch, the dev branch, the feed license browser, the feed snack bar. Same as you can check the branches here, the feed test, feed testing. It will just give a clear view of what the branch is. It can also, if you are adding the GitHub ticket also, GitHub ticket number, so it will just give, anyone can just refer to a ticket and then can see ki this ticket issues have been resolved into this branch, right? Anyone have problem in this, in the conventions? You can follow that across, not just in the next 2 months, across your projects, whenever you're contributing to open source or maybe your companies. You can just react, or maybe you can just unmute yourself if you have any queries. Cool. Now commit messages sanity. तो commit messages में हम basically क्या करते हैं, generally updated लिख देते हैं, added लिख देते हैं, enhancement लिख देते हैं. But commit message should also follow the some pattern of how commit message should be there. ठीक है? तो you can check this contributing MD. The commit message should follow this should follow this type of a pattern: type, scope, or a subject. ठीक है? तो feed is for a new feature, fix is for a bug fix, docs is for a documentation changes, style is maybe ESLint or prettier का कुछ issue है, right? When there's not making any significant change to the code, maybe white space, formatting, missing semicolon, new line, these kind of a changes come to style. Refactor, if you are making the refactor changes, perf is for the performance, test is for the testing. So this kind of a prefix or type you can add a scope, and you can add a proper message rather than just adding updated enhancement. You can add a proper message, feed, colon, or maybe the name, right? You can follow this syntax. And the other thing which I need to tell you is ki we generally write git commit minus m, right? Let me just show it on here. So we generally write git commit minus m and some message, right? Right? We used to write like this, right? इसमें हम लोग क्या कर सकते हैं? We can add a -s flag to all our commits. What it do is it just add the sign off by you. If I show you ki how will it look, if I add a -s flag, so let me just show my commits. So to all my commits, if I add a -s flag, it will just add a signed off by me, and it can show me signed off by and my mail ID and my GitHub username. Right? So you can just add a -s flag to your commits. So this will make your commit signed off. Just this one thing. Then after commit messages sanity, we come to git releases. Anyone knows what git releases are? Any volunteer जिसको कुछ भी पता हो git release क्या होती है?
Hi, Abhishek this side. I think when we are releasing major features, then we release, and that is a git release, okay?
Yes.
It is a combination of multiple minor features and a big major change that we are going to implement or deploy on production.
Yes. Very right. Anyone else?
Actually, as far as I know, Git releases is basically we are tagging that this is the stable version of our system, our product, and you can download it because it is stable. And after another stable release, we can tag it and we can release it like that, something.
Yes. तो बेसिकली गिट रिलीजेस क्या होते हैं? एक स्पेसिफिक वर्जन्स होते हैं जो हम एक माइलस्टोन की तरह अपने ऑडियंसेस को, अपने यूजर्स को सेल करते हैं या फिर हम रिलीज करते हैं. व्हेन दे गेट टू नो, दे कैन अपडेट द वर्जन नंबर्स, रिलीज नोट्स होते हैं, उसमें सोर्स कोड आर्काइव्स होते हैं, टैग्स वगैरह होते हैं. दे कैन हेल्प ट्रेस द चेंजेस, प्रोवाइड द स्टेबल स्नैपशॉट्स, right? The specific version, specific milestone, specific code base when you wanted to just push to the user after certain number of features. That is a git release. ठीक है? अब git tags क्या होते हैं? Git tags जो होते हैं एक रेफरेंस और लेबल होता है that is assigned to a specific commit. Tags are also of two types, that are lightweight tags होते हैं और annotated tags होते हैं. वो we'll see the demo. So let me just tell you the difference between the tags और वो. Is my screen GitHub visible, right?
Yeah.
So you can see right now there are the 0 tags on this repository, right? So if I have to add the tag to this, let me check. I'm on which branch? I'm the new branch, but I wanted to check out on the development. And on the development branch, I wanted to add a tag to it. So maybe I can add a tag, git tag v1.0, right? तो अगर मैं git tag देखूंगी, मैंने tag add कर दिया, तो I'm on the v1.0. This is a lightweight tag which just give a specific pointer to us to that specific commit, right? Or maybe I wanted to another tag, git tag. This is a -a is a flag of annotated tags. If I wanted to add v1.1 -m, or maybe tag release for, ठीक है? तो अगर मैं git tag देखूंगी तो मेरे पास 2 tags हैं, right? अभी मेरे GitHub पे 0 ही tags हैं. If I wanted to push the tags on the GitHub, git push origin -tags. If I push it, so I can just see both of these tags here, right? So 2 tags are there. If I click on these tags, it will tell me ki which tag will, my tag will contain the source code, the zip code, the tar file, and all the other assets. It will just tell me ki what is the code base is updated till the version 1.0. This is the 1.1. It will also just tell me the tag release for v1.1, which is the message I have written for the annotated tags, right? This is source code, the zip, and the tar files. If I just wanted to delete the tags, then I can just git tag -d. Okay, it will just delete my tag. If you can see the message, deleted tag v1.0, v1.1. Okay, I can just push also these tag git push -d and the tag name. It will just delete the tags on my from my GitHub also. These are the GitHub tags which will just give me the specific pointer to that commit. And with this tags, I can I have not pushed it. So yeah, what I can do is I can create a release from this tag. Release is basically I can just write a release title, what my release will consist of, and what features you can see into the release. So from if you see the different open source repositories, they have the different release cycles and they have the multiple releases. If you can see this project, there are 40 releases, right? So at each release, they give the specific title. This release has a quick hotfix and credits to the contributors, the feature implemented, the correction they have do. Same as they do to the different releases, right? So there are 40 releases on this. You can check the different releases, which is on May 9. Then you can check the different release on November 11. And you can see the different pull request here and the contributors, the assets. So these are the kind of releases we do. So git tags and releases हो गया. अब now coming to the naming convention for tags. तो generally naming convention क्या होता है? Semantic versioning में major, minor और patch होता है. जैसे मैंने अभी लिखा था ना v1.0, तो generally it's a good convention कि हम आगे v लगाएं as a prefix, and major, minor, patch में major is for the breaking changes. अगर हम बहुत ज्यादा कुछ enhancement कर रहे हैं, एकदम नया feature add कर रहे हैं, then we just change the first major version, that is 1.x.x or 2.x.x. Minor version is if we are adding a feature additions, environment और enhancement कर रहे हैं तो 1.2.x, 1.3.x. और patch version क्या होता है? Is basically जब हम लोग कोई bug fix कर रहे हैं, जैसे 1.2.3 हो गया, 1.2.4 हो गया, that is a patch version. This is the ideal word, मतलब syntax for these tags, that is major dot minor dot patch. A convention for the hotfix, it totally differs from company to company and the project to project. But if we wanted to make some change into the hotfix, then what tag we should give that? So we can just maybe add minus hotfix into the version, something like 1.2.3 minus hotfix 1. So this will indicate the first hotfix for version 1.2.3. Or minus HF we can add. Or maybe we can just increment the patch version 1.2.3 se 1.2.4 kar diya. So these are the convention for the hotfixes. Cool. Till here, anyone has any doubt in the naming convention for the tags, releases क्या होते हैं, convention क्या होता है? Anyone? And अगर समझ आ गया तो just react, a thumbs up. Cool. Now going to the origin versus upstream. Can anyone tell me origin और upstream में क्या difference होता है? What is the difference between origin and upstream? Any volunteers?
Origin is that branch where the code is like a master branch जैसे बोलते हैं यहाँ पे code located है. Whenever we work in local environment, then we use the upstream branch to push the code like I have contributed earlier. Then we use the upstream branch for pushing the code and then passing it to origin one.
Okay. Anyone else?
Origin branch mainly refers to the branch that we use or we make a copy. For example, when we fork up a repository that we like and want to run it locally, and upstream refer to the main branch on the GitHub from where we have forked.
Sorry, yeah, I was speaking on mute. Yeah, yes, correct. Anyone else? तो बेसिकली ओरिजिन क्या होती है, टिपिकली रिफर्स टू डिफॉल्ट रिमोट रिपोजिटरी, राइट? तो अगर आपको यहाँ पे अपना दिखाऊं गिट रिमोट -v मैं करूं तो मुझे अपना ओरिजिन पता चल जाएगा कि मैंने यहाँ से इसको ले रखा है, मेरा ये ओरिजिन है. बट समटाइम्स व्हाट यू वांटेड टू डू इट कि लेट्स से आई वांटेड टू कंट्रीब्यूट दिस एयरबाइट dev data platform का एयरबाइट project, then I have to fork it on my machine. If I fork it on my username, then I'll create a fork. तो मेरी वाली जो repository होगी that is a origin, and जो upstream होगी वो exact जो actual project है dev data platform का, that is a upstream. So I can add my remote like git remote add upstream by just giving the URL of the actual link, right? So since I have been directly working on this, since I have the access of passbook repository, so I don't need to create, I don't need to add the upstream, but generally you will contribute to your projects by forking it, right? तो origin क्या होगा आपका? Origin जो आपने अपने user name के अंदर contribute किया है, तो आपके origin पे आपका ये वाला URL आएगा. एंड अपस्ट्रीम का यूआरएल आप क्या सेट करोगे? अपस्ट्रीम का यूआरएल ये वाला सेट करोगे जो डेव डेटा प्लेटफॉर्म एक्चुअली जिस पे आपको कोड करना है, मतलब जिस पे आपको अपना कोड मर्ज कराना है, दैट इज द अपस्ट्रीम का यूआरएल व्हिच यू नीड टू सेट. हाउ यू कैन सेट इज गिट रिमोट ऐड अपस्ट्रीम. अपस्ट्रीम पे यू कैन जस्ट ऐड दिस यूआरएल. कूल. So this is the origin is the default remote repository and the upstream is the original repository from which you are working, from which you have forked the code, right? You have created a copy in your own GitHub. So you can just create a copy of this, right? तो ये clear है क्या? ये clear है क्या? What is origin? What is upstream? How to set the upstream? You can just react, or maybe you can just unmute and you can speak.
I have a doubt, Shruti. When we use upstream?
So let's say, can you just tell me your name?
Deepali.
Yeah, hi Deepali. तो बेसिकली अपस्ट्रीम हम कब ऐड करते हैं? तो एक पूरा साइकिल होता है. लेट्स से आपका क्या ऑर्गेनाइजेशन है, आप किस ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में कंट्रीब्यूट कर रहे हो?
Sunbird ED.
Let me just open the Sunbird ED project. So what you will follow is Sunbird ED में जैसे ये है implement independent SSO, तो मे बी इसका कोड बेस है, राइट? तो ये इसका अपस्ट्रीम हो गया. बट अगर मुझे इसे फोक करना है अपने सिस्टम पे, फोक एज इन, क्योंकि मेरे पास तो राइट एक्सेस नहीं होगा. इफ आई हैव टू मेक सम चेंजेस, लेट्स से इफ आई वांटेड टू मॉडिफाई इट्स रीडमी, देन आई डोंट हैव द एक्सेस फॉर दिस रिपोजिटरी. So you have to fork it on your username on your GitHub so that you can make the changes and you can raise the pull request to it. Right? So upstream, when we do add upstream, let's say if you have forked the code and you are making changes in 2 days, within 2 days some changes has already been merged into this repository. How you will pull the code from this repository? Because your origin will have not having the updated code. either you have to keep updated your origin, right? So you have to set the remote origin upstream to this branch or to this repository, and then you can take the pull from something like git. Generally हम लोग क्या करते हैं, git pull origin and the branch name, right? Instead of that, what we can do is we can do git pull upstream, and from whichever branch we wanted to pull, we can do that. In that cases, we have to add the upstream when there are some changes already being made while you are working on some feature. So how you just make your origin to be updated with the upstream.
Yes, understood. Thank you.
Does this answer your question, Dipali?
Yes, yes.
Great, cool. Anyone has any other doubt?
Excuse me, Chandra here. So I had a question. One way to do this is to we can create a branch on the main repository itself, right? And then raise a pull request.
On this repository itself?
Yeah, create a branch.
For that also you need an access, because I don't have the access. I cannot create a new branch into it. Let's say I have to, maybe I'm adding, let's say Pete test. So I'm not getting the option to create a new branch, or because I don't have the access. But let's say I have the access for this. If I add feed test, so you can see I am having the access. So I'm getting this option, create a branch feed test. But I'm not getting this option here in the Sunbird Ed because I'm not having the access of this repository. For the branch also, you need an access for the repository from your mentors.
Okay, so so basically, I see that there are two ways to do this. One is to just create a branch, or the other is to basically fork the repo and then work on your local fork. So I wanted to ask if there is a difference between why these two methods exist.
Why it is?
Why both these methods exist? Why can't we always for creating a new branch on the main request?
Because let's say you are a signed contributor for a Sunbird Ed. So maybe your mentor will give you the access, right? But maybe there are thousands of people in the community and they wanted to contribute to the Sunbird Ed project. The mentor cannot give the access to them. They cannot give the access to the 1,000 GitHub usernames to their code base, right? So they have to fork the repository. They have to follow the complete process. You cannot create the branch unless you don't have the access of this repository, right? Access of this repository. Did you get it?
Yeah, I got it. Thank you. It's like an access to.
Yeah, मतलब मेरे पास एक्सेस नहीं है, मेरे को सेटिंग्स टैब भी नहीं दिख रहा. अगर मैं अपना पासबुक बाय रिपोजिटरी में जाऊं जिसपे मुझे एक्सेस है, आई कैन हैव द सेटिंग्स टैब. मैं सबको एक्सेस नहीं दे सकती हूँ उस पे राइट करने के लिए. सब लोग ब्रांच क्रिएट नहीं कर पाएंगे, सबको वो फोक वाला प्रोसीजर फॉलो करना पड़ेगा. Cool.
Yes, ma'am.
Yep. ठीक है. तो now just moving to the what is merge and what is rebase. ठीक है, merge और rebase में किसी को difference पता है? And when do we use merge, when do we use rebase? There are a lot of doubt in it.
And when we want to add our changes and preserve the earlier changes, then we use merge. And when we want only our changes to reflect in the main branch, we use rebase.
ठीक है, या तो एक बार इसको अच्छे से समझते हैं. मर्ज और रीबेस क्या होता है? तो बेसिकली मर्ज का मतलब ही है टू ऐड और टू कंबाइन समथिंग इनटू अ सिंगल एंटिटी. दैट इज अ मर्ज. इट इज अ टेक्निक which take the changes from the different branches and it merge the different changes into a single branch, that is into a main branch. ठीक है, let's understand it with more better with the visualization, the infographic. Let's say ये blue वाली is your master branch which is having a 1, 2 or 3 commit, and this yellow one is your feature branch which is having a commits A and B, right? Before merging, your git history looks like this. After merging, what happened is your feature branch A and B commit and your 1, 2, 3 commit gets merged into the fourth. It will create a fourth commit and it will look like this. After git merge, all your commit history will look like this, right? But whereas the rebase is for the logs of the repository history which looks linear. जैसे अगर आपने कोई branch, let's say आपने main branch को मतलब अपनी branch को main से rebase करा या main को rebase किया, तो आपके जो आपने changes या आपने commits कर रखे हैं अपने local पे, वो आपके सारे changes या आपके सारे commits वो उस commit के ऊपर से आ जाएंगे जो अभी आपके GitHub पे pushed है. अगर मैं visually समझाऊं तो जैसे अगर आपका feature branch है A और B और आपका main branch है 1 2 3 commit है, तो before rebase ये होगा and after rebase 1 2 3 and all your this A B commit will change into the 4 5 commit on your main branch only. This is a git rebase and whereas this is the git merge, right? So when do we use git merge and when do we use git rebase? So basically git merge when we want our team to understand the logs properly, कि कहाँ से आ रहे हैं, किसने commits किए हैं, कौन सी branch है, कौन सी branch नहीं है. And generally git rebase is when the log of the repository will not be referred by anyone else, which is for your only, right? So git merge and git rebase kind of do the same kind of a things, but git merge is specifically for understanding the logs and git rebase is for when you wanted a linear log and when no one is in your team is seeing that, right? And it's generally a preference you can ask with your mentors also how standards they are following, but this is a general standard where we use git merge and git rebase. Cool. Any doubts in this? You can just thumbs up if you have understood this. Cool. Now, after all the things, I have covered those concepts which might be helpful in your next 2 months or maybe later in your life also. So these are the whenever we contribute 2 lines to an open source project, and this is the thing like I served to the Soviet Union. So just start using the open source software, explore the code, try to solve more issues, get involved with the community. Maybe you can just add the documentation, put your project source code on a public platform, right? So this is the which give you a lot of experience and yes, definitely a money. So these are the different open source programs, Code for GovTech, Google Summer of Code, Major League Hacking, Google Summer of Documentation, Outreachy, Hacktoberfest, LFX. You can be a part of all of these after the contributors after participating in the open source program. And this is what we do before open source and after open source. So yeah, thanks.
Okay, guys, if you have any questions, you can start right away. You can type in your chat box or you can unmute yourself. You can raise your hand.
Yes, any questions, any feedback in general, anything if you wanted to discuss about the program or anything, you can just, yeah, you can put it in a chat, you can just open your mic, you can just speak it.
Yeah, sure. Presentation will definitely be shared with you guys. Don't worry about that.
Hello, Shruti.
Hey, hi.
Hi, this is Sandeep. So I had a doubt regarding in case there is merge conflicts, then how is it resolved? Like once I had a merge conflict and I had to resolve it manually by looking at each code one by one.
So generally, if you had the merge conflicts, it depends on your IDE. So if let's say I'm using VS Code as my IDE to code, so it generally provide a good UI. You have to resolve the merge conflicts manually only. There is no other way you can just resolve the merge conflicts. So they provide you wanted to merge accept the current changes, or you wanted to merge the previous changes. So it kind of provide a UI. I can also send the screenshot to you. So yeah, but there is no other way, like there is no other command for resolving the merge conflicts. You have to do it manually only.
Okay, thanks. That's what I wanted to know.
Yeah.